Well, hello there. We're seeing a rather unsettling trend across the United States. Factories, those once bustling hubs of American productivity, are going quiet. The whirring of machinery, the clang of metal, the general soundtrack of things being replaced by an eerie silence. This isn't just a blip. It's a series of shutdowns happening right now, in 2025. This is about real people, real communities, and the very real impact of decisions made far from the factory floor. The sudden closure of these manufacturing plants is a direct consequence of a major international agreement going belly up. We're not talking about one or two isolated incidents. This is a pattern affecting various industries, from auto parts to consumer electronics, and even food processing. The silence of these machines is an alarm bell, and we need to listen. So, let's dive into the mess, shall we? We'll try to untangle the reasons behind these factory closures, examine the consequences, and perhaps find a glimmer of hope amidst the economic wreckage. All right, so what's the big deal about this trade deal? It was called the Transcontinental Commerce Pact, or TCCP. This pact was years in the making, designed to streamline trade, reduce tariffs, and make it easier for goods to flow between the United States and several major trading partners. Proponents sold it as a golden ticket to economic prosperity, promising increased exports, more jobs, and cheaper goods for everyone. The significance of the TCCP was immense, governing billions, if not trillions, of dollars in goods and services annually. For many U.S. companies, particularly those in manufacturing, the TCCP was a cornerstone of their long-term strategic planning. So, why did this supposedly magnificent pact collapse? Political maneuvering, shifting economic priorities, and good old-fashioned disagreements. Some member nations couldn't agree on crucial enforcement mechanisms, particularly concerning labor rights and environmental protections. The collapse wasn't a quiet fizzle. It was a sudden, messy implosion, leaving a massive vacuum of uncertainty. This abrupt U-turn is precisely why the fallout has been so severe. Now, let's connect the dots. How does a fancy international trade deal collapsing suddenly lead to a factory in Ohio or Michigan grinding to a halt? It's all about expectations, investments, and the brutal reality of global supply chains. Many U.S. factories had retooled their operations and invested in new machinery based on the anticipated benefits of the TCCP. When the TCCP disintegrated, it was like pulling the rug out from under these manufacturers. Suddenly, the projected cost savings from lower tariffs vanished. The anticipated ease of access to foreign markets? Gone. For some, this meant their products became instantly uncompetitive on the global market. For others, the cost of essential imported parts skyrocketed, making their entire production process economically unviable. The factory, once poised for growth, now faces an existential crisis, unable to produce profitably. The closure of a factory isn't an isolated event. It's like a stone dropped into a pond, sending ripples outwards. The most immediate impact is on the workers who lose their jobs. Local businesses that relied on the factory and its workforce suffer too. The diner where workers bought their lunch, the hardware store that supplied the plant with tools, and the local trucking companies all take a significant hit. A major employer shutting down sucks money out of the local economy. Laid-off workers have less money to spend, affecting local shops and services. This can lead to more job losses as smaller businesses struggle. Property values decline, and local government tax revenue shrinks. Beyond the locality, there are wider economic implications. The U.S. manufacturing sector is critical to the national economy. When factories close, it's not just jobs that are lost. It's also productive capacity and innovation. It's crucial to remember that behind every statistic about factory closures and unemployment rates, there are real people with real lives turned upside down. Take, for example, Maria Rodriguez, a single mother who worked for 15 years at an auto parts plant in Michigan. The plant was a cornerstone of her community, providing stable, well-paying jobs for generations. When the TCCP collapsed, the plant lost its primary export contract almost overnight. Within 3 months, the closure was announced. Maria, who had just taken out a mortgage, now faces an uncertain future, wondering how she'll provide for her 2 children and keep her home. Then there's David Chen, a skilled machinist in his late 50s from Pennsylvania. He dedicated over 30 years of his life to a factory that manufactured specialized industrial equipment. When the deal fell through, the company found itself unable to compete with foreign manufacturers who weren't facing the same sudden tariff hikes. David received a pink slip, his decades of loyalty and skill suddenly devalued, his retirement plans thrown into disarray. These aren't isolated anecdotes. They are representative of the widespread human cost of these economic dislocations. So, faced with this rather bleak picture of factory closures and widespread layoffs, what can actually be done to support the affected workers? It's not enough to just acknowledge the problem. We need concrete solutions. One of the most critical areas is robust support for retraining and upskilling programs. The jobs that have disappeared may not be coming back in the same form, so workers need opportunities to acquire new skills that are in demand in today's economy, whether that's in advanced manufacturing, renewable energy, healthcare, or technology. These programs need to be accessible, affordable, and tailored to local job market needs. Beyond skills training, comprehensive unemployment benefits and transitional assistance are absolutely vital. This means ensuring that benefits are sufficient to cover basic living expenses and last long enough for individuals to genuinely find new employment or complete a retraining program. We also need to think about healthcare. Losing a job often means losing health insurance, which is a terrifying prospect, especially for families. Exploring options like extended COBRA subsidies or easier access to affordable public healthcare options during these transition periods is essential. It's about providing a safety net that actually catches people. Now, after all that talk of collapsing deals, silent factories, and struggling communities, it would be very easy to end on a note of utter despair. And believe me, the situation is serious. But if there's one thing that history teaches us, it's that periods of economic upheaval, as painful as they are, can also be catalysts for change, innovation, and renewed determination. The closure of these factories due to the TCCP collapse is a harsh blow. There's no denying it. But it doesn't have to be the final chapter for these workers or their communities. The resilience of the American worker is a powerful force. We've seen it time and again. Individuals and communities facing adversity, picking themselves up and finding new ways to thrive. The key is to provide them with the tools and opportunities to do so. By focusing on empowering individuals with new skills and creating fertile ground for new economic growth, we can help turn this crisis into an opportunity for transformation. Ultimately, a hopeful outlook isn't about ignoring the pain or the difficulty of the present moment. It's about believing in our collective capacity to adapt, innovate, and support one another.